Hello, it's Tayler Silverduke, registered dietitian specializing in celiac, and I've had celiac for over 10 years. And today I want to talk about salt, gluten, and celiac disease because I think it was on a post where I was talking about canned beans, but one of the posts that I made on YouTube got this comment. I'll enlarge it so you can see it here. It says, "Be careful while mentioning salt as gluten-free. Yes, this is naturally gluten-free. However, the mass shipping that now happens, some of the salt companies are labeling up containers may contain gluten, peppercorns as well. Usually salt is moved around the world using grain vessels and not cleaned out between use." So I got this comment on one of my videos, and I want to dissect it because this is a really great example of a lot of the confusing and conflicting information you might see online, a lot of the potentially well-intentioned information, but also fear-mongering and misinformation, and how these things can start to get really confusing really quickly. It can also be a great example of how to spot potential misinformation. So again, if you're new here, my name is Tayler. Again, I'm a registered dietitian specializing in celiac disease in the United States. This is where I live. This is where I'm credentialed as a dietitian, and this is where I base all of my recommendations off of. I base it off of what we know and do in the United States, what our labeling laws are, what our processing and manufacturing laws are, etc. So let's talk about, I'll make this a little bit bigger again, salt, cross contact with salt, and if we need to worry about if we see salt on a food label. So first I want to highlight a couple of things that stand out to me in this comment. First is that they say that a lot of salt companies are labeling containers as may contain gluten. Now, I don't know where this person is, but I'm in the United States. This does not happen. In the United States, gluten is not an allergen that is identified in the allergen advisory statement or the allergen statement. Those are two different things, by the way. And also the may contain statement in the United States. This is a allergen advisory statement. This is voluntary, whereas the contain statement in the United States is mandatory. That is where they have to identify the top 8 allergens. But gluten is not one of those allergens. This is not happening in the USA. They are not saying things contain gluten or may contain gluten. The only gluten ingredient that would be here in this part of a label would be wheat. Now, I know that that's super nitpicky, but that's really important to pick up on because they're saying that things are saying may contain gluten, but that's not happening. And this is a point of like very careful misinformation. Like they did not clearly communicate. And this is already something that I'm already deeply questioning and deeply already don't agree with because I know it's not true, but is something to pick up on. That's not happening. Even with salt and the may contain gluten statement, so if the may contain wheat statement, even if they are identifying the top 8 allergen in the allergen advisory may contain statement, I've never picked up a salt container that is pure salt and seen may contain wheat. I've not seen that yet. I would imagine that if this was happening, this would be a more widespread issue, and the wheat allergy community would be freaking out because salt is in quite literally everything, and I'm not sure if there would be anything left for the wheat allergy community to eat if this was truly a concern. And to remind everyone, I know a lot of us are on the same page, but a wheat allergy is different from celiac disease. A wheat allergy is IgE mediated. It is also something where there is not a widely accepted amount of wheat that a person with a wheat allergy can tolerate, whereas with celiac disease it is mediated by a different part of the immune system, usually IgA mediated, and there is a widely general accepted rule that most celiacs can tolerate less than 20 parts per million of gluten. So that's a big difference, and this would be, I imagine, a big uproar in the wheat allergy community, simply because like any amount of wheat is considered too much for someone with a wheat allergy in most cases. So this is like, no, not a thing. But they then also say usually salt is moved around the world using grain vessels and not cleaned out between use. And this is another thing when misinformation is being spread around celiac disease. I see this kind of thing happen a lot too, where they try to add like fact or a piece of information that is difficult to prove or disprove as a way to support their claim. And in this case, I don't think that this was like their intention was to harm anyone. I don't think their intention was to fearmonger, but this is inciting fear for no reason, and they're trying to support their claim with something that is difficult to prove or disprove. And in this case, like, I saw this happen with holiday-shaped Reese's. When I was doing a big investigation into if the holiday-shaped Reese's were in fact gluten-free or not, one of the things that I saw and came across countless times on forums and Facebook groups and social media and even Google was this idea that the Reese's holiday shapes were made in molds that were dusted with flour, and that's why they weren't gluten-free, or that was one of the reasons they were said not to be gluten-free for people with celiac. And this was something that was really difficult to kind of prove or disprove, and I ended up having to call the Hershey company and explain to them, like, this is what I'm seeing online, this is what I've heard, I can't find anywhere that this is real, and like based on my understanding of the labeling laws in the United States, this is not something that could happen, but is this happening? And they were like, we've never done this, we don't even know where this would have come from, no, this isn't an issue. But that like little statement where people could say also, plus, you know, the molds are dusted with flour, like that's difficult to disprove, and it's like a little fact people will sprinkle in with no actual, like, it's unsubstantiated. There's unsubstantiated. There's nothing there to actually hold that fact up. It's like completely false. So in this case, usually salt is moved around the world using grain vessels and not cleaned out between use. If you look up how salt is transported globally, this is just not true. It's not true. It might be happening in like smaller countries, I'm not sure. But in the United States, this is like not a thing. Like they're not putting wheat into a barrel and then putting salt in that barrel after they take the wheat out. That's not what's happening. I'm so sorry I didn't mute my phone. But this is just not happening. So are we worried about salt as people with celiac disease? No, if you see salt on an ingredient label, you're fine. You're not worried about the salt. There are many other things we are worried about for sure. There are a lot of other ingredients that can carry a risk. Salt is absolutely not one of them, and I think it's really important that we are careful about the information that we spread, especially if it's unfounded, especially if it's like kind of just based on word of mouth and I almost want to say myth, because it's just this is not true. It's not true. I will say, if you are someone with celiac who feels like if you see something like this, you are sent into a panic, or you were never taught how to read a food label, you were told just to go gluten-free, and or you kind of feel like really scared about grocery shopping because you're never really sure if you're making a safe decision, and or you feel like the only products you can buy that have a label are the ones that explicitly say gluten-free, and you are looking to have a stronger understanding of what is and isn't safe when you're grocery shopping in the United States, and you want to know what the different parts of the food label mean, where the risks are on a food label, and what to look for. I teach you exactly all of that for free in my totally free label reading class. This class I teach you it is a lot, but I teach you how to assess the safety of a food label in 4 simple steps so that you're able to quickly make safe judgments, but you're also not stuck only buying things that are marked gluten-free. So if this is something you're interested in, I'm a registered dietitian. I'm specializing in celiac, but I've also been living with celiac for over 10 years, and I explain it all simply using research, and I give you a lot of resources to make it a quick and easy process for you. Plus, I do provide some simulations in that class so that you're able to practice with me as well. So if it's something you're interested in, again, it's totally free. It's linked down below. But we are not worried about salt. We are not worried about salt. We are not worried about salt. If it says salt, we're not worried about it. Salt is safe. Okay. That's all that I have for today. If you found this helpful, go ahead and hit the subscribe button for more videos from a celiac and celiac dietitian, and I will see you when I see you.